is on a mission to provoke you to greatness.
We're tackling tough subjects and sharing real-life experiences.
No holds barred. We've fought for our family's freedom and want to help you achieve the same.
If you want to live a life you've never lived,
you have to do things you've never done.
Let the story begin. Can you hear me? Can you hear
Yes.
me now? Can you hear me?
My man.
You've been echoing for like 30 minutes while we're trying to work through these technical difficulties.
Oh my gosh.
But we're here.
Welcome
We're
to the
here,
Nick
man.
and Mark Show.
Welcome.
One day late, no sooner the better.
We're doing it live, and that's what we're good at. We're freaking doing it live.
I'm gonna take
Even
my
though-
glasses off.
Even though we barely made it tonight because of Nick's phone, but that's a whole nother story.
You know,
What's up, man?
things are great. I'm excited. I don't
What are you
care about
excited
my. Listen, I know that there's new technology coming, new phones are coming.
You're like 13 phones in the past.
It was all my fault. Okay.
It's all good. It is
well,
what it is, man.
But we did not show up yesterday because were you out on a wave runner?
I was traveling a little bit yesterday. We took a little bit of time to take my twins out to a lake in Georgia, around Marietta, Georgia.
What?
And actually, I think it was the same lake that's featured in the Ozark, believe it or not.
Really? Oh.
Because as we were pulling out of the boat slip area, I looked over to my right, and the inn that is the main cabin inn in the series The Ozark was right in front of me. And then Brian looks over at me. He goes, "Oh yeah, this is the same inn that is in the Ozark. They actually filmed Ozark here on this lake." And I was like, "What? Have you ever seen the Ozark?"
How was it seeing Mr. Joe B-Boy? How was it?
Mr. Joe Bro? Yeah, it was good. He's solid, man. So aside from the Ozark, have you ever seen that, by the way? Crazy. No, it's not recommended for everybody because it's pretty intense. Like, really
I don't mind intense, but some things grieve my spirit.
Yeah, there's some things in there that I had to kind of just like end it and shut it off. But anyway, as far as Brian, so I said to my boys at one point, I said, because my boys are 10, turning 11, I said, "Boys, this guy right here is doing and having an enjoying time on the lake, an adventure on the lake, just like he did with me when I was 12, 13 years old, because he was my youth pastor."
Yeah.
And I said, we're getting to experience the same opportunities 35 years later, which is so cool, man. It was just so cool. For those of you who don't know, Brian, he was on a couple podcasts ago. You can look him up. Awesome guy who's my youth pastor. He's one of the coolest guys you'll ever meet.
One of our best friends.
Best friend in the world. Adventurer. I mean, he'll take you to the moon and back, and it'll just be just a ball of fun. You know.
Yeah, he took us to a campsite in Northwest Georgia with scorpions.
Oh yeah. And we were talking about that too. And we also went to, where was it? It was up on the panhandle of Florida. We went to the beach. Was that the beach you're talking about right there?
No.
So we went to a beach campsite, and a little baby scorpion crawled up my arm.
What?
And I said, "Yeah, crawled up my arm." It was like 2 inches long. His tail was all hooked down. I said, "Oh my God, Brian, there's a scorpion on my arm." And he looks at me and he goes,
"Flick it off.
Shake it off." And I'm like, am I going to die? And am I going to die? Bro. And I feel like I'm considered somewhat of a manly man when it comes to outdoors. Like nothing really freaks me out. But when this
Kristen said, "Oh heck no."
This little baby tiny scorpion crawled up my arm, and I thought my life flashed before my.
Bro, do you remember when we were on the trail? Do you remember when we were on the trail and I walked by the hornet's nest and it came after me and you guys were throwing stuff, yelling?
Yes.
You were like,
"Bro, yes." But they weren't just regular hornets. They were like murder hornets, bro.
I thought you guys were hitting me with rocks in the head, and they were hitting me. They were hitting me.
It was the hornets.
Yeah, they were pinging my head. I had a hat on. I had an Indiana Jones hat on, made by a really good hat company, so it was really well made. And those things were coming in, boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
And you
Did we
guys were
jump in
like,
the water?
you
Did
guys
we
were
jump
like,
in the water?
run, run.
We did something. Yeah. We ran. But you can't really outrun hornets, bro. I remember jumping in the water at some point. I don't know, man.
We did
It was
jump in
great.
the water.
But the adventures that we've had with Mr. Bryan are just intense. So lest I divert and go another direction, we went on this lake and we took a 2,000 cc's Yamaha
Wave runner.
wave runners out, and my twin boys, 10 years old, have never ever been on a lake like that, let alone a wave runner.
Yeah.
And we just 60 miles an hour on this, like literally. I was looking at the speedometer, 60 miles an hour on the water. Do you
Feels
know
like
how fast
100.
that is? Do you know how fast it is on the water, man?
It feels like 100.
To the point where my hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold on to it.
That's incredible.
But they had such a good time, and I was always
You guys
checking.
have
"You
a
all
rooster
right?"
tail? Did you have a rooster
Oh
tail?
yeah, oh yeah. Rooster tail was 10 feet high. It was sick, bro. It was so cool. So I love doing that. But I wanted to make memories with my boys, so we drove out there for a couple hours, went on the lake, then drove back, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun, man. It was well worth it. But my
That's
whole
nice.
body
I
is
like
sore.
that.
I'm old, man. I'm 40 years old. My whole body is sore right now.
Yeah. Well, you've been
But
working out though too, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna brag. I'm not gonna brag. No, I have been working out. Michelle's been forcing me to work out. She actually has her trainer training me 3 days a week now.
When you were
Um,
walking towards the camera before we started the show, you looked different.
hopefully, man. He's kicking my butt.
Yeah, you did. You looked a little different.
He's kicking my butt. Listen, I turned 40 and I feel like I haven't truly taken care of my health
Yeah.
in a way that I should have been. Not that I would, have been super
Is that your
unhealthy, but
trainer,
where? What?
Zach
What are you
Bohannon?
pointing at? No, 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 no. No, that's one of my agents. Zach's one of my agents.
Yeah, what's up,
He's a
Zach?
fitness freak. Zach's
Wait,
a fitness freak
wait,
too,
listen,
man.
Zach, since you're a fitness freak and Mark, so Kristen's working out today, right? And she's looking, she's saying, do I not motivate you? I'm like, you do, not to work
Listen,
out.
no, listen, it's different with a wife and husband relationship. I'm sorry. Like we could love our spouses to death, right? And want to do everything for them, but
For sure.
your spouse doesn't motivate you to do something that like you have a hard time doing. It has to be an outside source. So like Michelle got me in touch with her trainer.
Yeah.
We chatted.
Mhm.
I shared with him some of my struggles, some of my
Yeah.
insecurities, some of the goals that I want to set for myself.
Mhm.
And he's like, all right, say no more. Let's do it. And he's been kicking my butt and not letting up on this workout. It's been pretty intense. So,
Sorry, I'm giving Zach a thumbs up. Couples that work out together stay together. I think that's
oh,
couples that pray together stay together, brother.
I love working out with my wife, but my wife is not going to push me to my limits. She'll probably keep
You know
me
who pushes me to my
somewhat.
limits, bro? Frankie Trofert.
But see, that's that's an outside source kicking your
Wow.
butt.
He's made me
Yeah,
throw up
absolutely.
like 3 times.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Crazy.
Well, someone told me that if you work out and don't throw up, you're not doing it right. I don't know if
Oh,
that's true or not.
oh,
I don't
that's
know if
right.
that's true or not. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't particularly like throwing up, but you have to feel it really, really, really like it
Well,
has to
listen,
be a good
man,
workout.
I think that it's so important that we are healthy because we've got children and we need to
Yeah,
keep up with them, bro.
so true.
And forget about it. We're gonna need to keep up with grandchildren. I
I
mean,
got a
you
grandchild.
have a
Hello.
grandchild, so
Yep.
you're already keeping up with a grandchild, you know,
Yep.
and
Keeping
that's
forget about
important.
keeping up with the Joneses. We got to keep up with the Casaras, man. Whew,
Yeah,
they're kicking
for
my butt
sure.
too. Crazy.
So
So
listen, there's a few things that I want to talk about tonight, man, and I think that we should jump into these things.
absolutely.
I think
Let's
that
do
they're
it.
pressing. I also think that they're refreshing. Okay,
Mhm.
some of what we're going to talk about is a pressing issues, and they might like tweak some people a little bit.
Oh, they'll tweak them a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
but but then we could end with refreshing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
I think that's a good point.
the first thing that I was thinking about over the past couple days is the response from the police in Uvalde, Texas.
Let's talk about that.
Did you see that video?
I did actually. I did. It was disturbing
To say the least.
It was disturbing. Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
walk us through the video a little bit.
So first, you see this dude just waltzing into this place. Doors open. I'm coming in.
This is the shooter.
Yeah.
That you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, the shooter's coming in. He's walking in like he owns the place. And gets to the kids, and the response from these police officers, I believe that it was 18 minutes.
Yeah, crazy.
Of nothing. You know, they came in, they got in. Listen, this disturbs me so much. It just makes me get a little heated. I get a little red. I'm starting to get angry right now.
Yeah,
but
absolutely,
these guys make it almost to the room.
Yeah.
And they turn around and run.
It ticks me off too, man, to think that like little kids are there, you know, like that should never happen in the first place. But the fact that we as citizens, taxpayers, pay their salary and they're not doing their job, they're not doing what they signed up to do.
Bro,
they signed up to protect and serve public.
Throw themselves in harm's way.
That's their job. They signed up. The day they signed up to jump in front of a bullet if they need to.
For sure.
And instead they run the other direction. But that's not even the least of it.
No. So then
there was some other footage that came out that
then these guys are coming into the hallway. They're streaming into the hallway. There's a ton of them, bro. They could have taken that guy out.
Pummeled him,
within seconds.
Yep. Nearly 400 officers were at the school, bro.
Listen.
At or in or around the school. 400.
The guys in the footage that came into that hallway, one guy was leaning on the wall, talking on the phone. Leaning on the wall. Nonchalant. Then there was another officer that kind of moseyed over to the hand sanitizer.
Did you see that?
Pushes the hand sanitizer.
Wait.
Cleans his hands.
Wait a second.
What do we do next?
Wait a second. He runs forward, then runs back, then kind of wobbles over to the hand sanitizer.
Cleans his hands.
What's going through his mind right now? Is germs and COVID going through his mind right now? Or is doing anything it takes to protect innocent lives going through his mind? What's going through a person's mind like that?
I really wish that I could jump into that scene and ask these guys, what are you guys doing here? What's happening right now? I'm sorry. Is there somebody murdering children?
400 officers waited nearly 73 minutes.
Minutes.
Over an hour. 73 minutes. Over an hour while the dude was just going to town.
Yep.
It doesn't even doesn't even make sense to me.
Am I
missing something? Am I missing something about this?
Yes, we're missing something. We're missing information. We're missing what happened. Why did it take place? First, and how did that guy? All right, you know what? Not how did that guy, because we know that you could obtain guns. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, of course. That's not even a question.
It's
not a license versus not license. It's not
the choice of the gun is very interesting.
Anybody could choose to go find a gun if you need to or if you want to. But
for sure. But there were some
specific devices used.
The rifle that he was using is a well-liked and widely used rifle within the governmental law enforcement agencies.
Oh, yeah. It had some very specific characteristics to it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And he had a lot of ammo.
So that's got to make you wonder, too. Like I don't like putting on the whole tinfoil hat thing. I try to stay away from that. But when so many of these happen over a certain amount of years and they all have very, very distinct similarities
of
what happened, when it happened, how it happened, who it happened to, it starts to form this picture, and you
Even
can't escape it. You can't run away from it. Like you can't run
even
away from thinking, was somebody behind this? Was there somehow
yeah,
some type of
that's right.
something going on that we don't know about and that
Yeah.
we'll never ever know about?
Even the bombing in Nashville,
Yeah. Let's not even go there.
right?
I,
I'm just saying. So
of
there's
course,
so many things that are taking
so many
place, but
things.
this one
Yeah.
specific thing where we're now looking at footage that's been released for us to view,
Yeah.
where these guys are doing nothing.
Yeah.
How do you even live with yourself after that?
Well, number one, it makes me never want to put my kids in public school.
Well, that's a given.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I was already kind of not wanting to do that in the
yeah,
beginning, but
yeah.
just the fact that they're targets, man. Public schools
Forget about
target
the
people.
agenda that's being pushed on the
Yeah.
children in the schools,
Oh
but
yeah.
there's no safety, there's no concern, there's
Right.
nobody cares. It's
Yeah.
like there's this nonchalant attitude about what's taking place.
Mhm.
And the left are sitting here saying no guns,
Mhm.
nobody should have these things, blah blah blah, and they allow all this other sick stuff to take place,
Mhm.
and they're trying to take our
Yeah.
protection away from us, which is going
Yeah.
to lead into the next conversation, by the way.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They're trying to remove our right to bear arms, right?
Our right to protect.
Yes,
But that's the reason we're bearing arms, is to protect out of self-defense.
that's
You see,
exactly right.
no law-abiding gun owner, no law-abiding gun owner, a citizen of the United States that owns a pistol or a handgun with a license will ever go out and purposely try to hurt somebody. That's never the intent of
No,
getting the
no,
the firearm in the first place. It's
that's right.
always the first
Yeah,
reason in somebody's mind, a law-abiding citizen, is let me get this just in case, to protect myself, to protect my family, to protect those. I mean, it's in
yes.
the handbook, it's in all of the training, it's in
Mm-hmm,
everything you do. So
mm-hmm.
like here's the thing. A bad guy's not going to go through the trouble of getting a license just to
Sure,
get a gun to go hurt somebody,
sure,
because you can buy and sell handguns without getting a license all over the United States
sure.
on black market, like like it's candy, like it's
Yeah,
you buying candy canes. Like
yeah,
you can do that. So no law-abiding citizen would go within their right mind saying, "I'm gonna get this just
sure.
because I want to go hurt somebody." That's
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 right.
just so
No,
far from the truth.
no,
And so
that's
we
right.
know that these people that do these horrible, horrible things, obviously they're sick, they're demented, they're twisted. There's something
Twisted.
wrong
It's
with them.
evil.
Usually there's some type of mental deficiency or some type of condition that comes up in the records, right? It comes up later on that
Yeah,
they were maybe on medication or or
yeah.
or had a history of
But
suicidal
yeah, yeah,
tendencies, or had
yeah,
a history
violence,
of, yeah, violence and
and then you find out about more about the
yeah,
history in their childhood and the things that went on, and
right,
whether
exactly.
they're from broken homes or if they got
Mhm.
abused or that's right.
Always something leading up to it. There's always
Mhm.
something leading up to it.
Yeah, for sure. So
So crazy.
so so that leads into the next piece that I wanted to talk about, and
Yeah.
that's what took place in Indiana.
Let's talk about it.
Well, some individual, twisted, right, wants to go into a mall in Indiana and shoot up the mall. But a law abiding, card carrying gun owner
Right.
was there. They're calling him the Good Samaritan.
Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
He took that dude out, took him out.
Mhm.
And now people are calling, well, there's one camp that's calling him the Good Samaritan. They're praising him for what he did. And then there's the other camp. And who do you think they are?
Mhm. Of course.
They're saying that it should have never have taken place that way. And
Yeah.
it's ridiculous to me.
Mhm.
Bro,
Mhm.
that's why I carry.
Yeah. Of course. And like we have to like ask ourselves, like, we know that the law enforcement is there to protect and to serve the community, but just to protect the community 100%. But in malls, how many thousands of people are in a mall or a shopping center to the amount of police officers that are in that area as well? Maybe
Chris-
1,000 to 1.
Kristen
You
said
know what I mean?
nothing stops a bad guy with a gun like a good guy with a gun.
100% true. It's
That
100%
is
true.
it right there.
But like back
My
to my
girl.
question, like what's the ratio? Is there a certain standard that they have to abide by? Because I know when I go in my local mall, sometimes I never see a police officer. Sometimes
Sure.
I see them sitting in the car outside,
Yeah.
unfortunately, just playing on their phone or just doing nothing.
Yeah. Most malls.
Rarely you have a mall cop walking around,
Well,
maybe
I was going to
security.
say
They're
most
like
malls
rented.
have that Paul Blart, the mall cop guy.
Well, I'll tell you, years ago, I did security for a mall as well. There was no armed security, and if there was, it was maybe the manager, and it was one person, one or
Yeah.
two people on the premise at the same time.
Well,
So what if you have this person going into the mall wanting to shoot it up, and that rent-a-cop is like 3 stories in a different direction?
sure.
But if you
I
have
think
law-abiding,
it depends, right? I think it
gun-toting
depends where you
citizens,
are,
of course.
where the city is, what the mall is, and like one of the malls that I frequent. There's a couple of police officers that walk around. There's one guy that stays in the center of the place, and then there's a
Mhm,
couple of mall cops, things like that.
mhm,
I
yeah.
remember, bro, when I don't know if you remember this, but when we were in Bogota in Colombia, do you remember driving into the mall and how they stop you and they have the mirrors and they go under
They
your
do
car?
they do the BOMB checks.
That's it. They check your trunk. They
Oh,
pop
yeah.
your hood. They check
They got
around
the
the engine.
canine sniffing, like, everybody that goes into a mall,
Yep,
this is a
everybody.
routine check.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Unbelievable. I mean, that was crazy.
unbelievable.
I would
Do you
never
remember
want
do you
that.
remember do you remember Tio, what was the name?
Ramon.
Tio Ramon.
Raul.
Tio Raul, yes.
Raul.
He was an ex-cop
Yep.
in Bogota, Colombia,
Hmm.
that did private security at that point. So when we went down to visit him, we got a private security escort to
Yeah.
and from the places that we wanted to. You remember the Toyota Land Cruiser that he put us in
Oh yeah. And the
with
Mercedes.
what
They
was
were
it? What
both.
was it?
They were both
Yeah, it was like a Mercedes
armored.
SUV. It
They
was
were
a
armored.
armored plated Mercedes with like
No,
6 inches.
Toyota Land Cruiser. You're
It was
right.
a Toyota Land Cruiser, yeah.
And then the Mercedes S Class was
Right.
also the Mercedes S Class was also armored.
Yeah. With 6-inch bulletproof
Oh
armor
yeah, it
around
was
it.
crazy. That
Yeah.
thing was so heavy.
Yeah.
The doors, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When
Bogota,
we
Colombia was
when
crazy, bro.
we do you remember going out? We went to a place that's now been transformed into a park. Uh,
Yeah.
it was a place called Cartucho.
Mm.
That was a terrible, terrible place. If
Yeah.
anybody's never heard of this place, it was a place in Bogota, Colombia.
Mhm.
It was drug riddled and gangs and poverty, the worst
Oh,
poverty
yeah.
you've ever seen.
Mhm.
It was basically like a garbage dump, and
Yeah.
people lived in these ditches of garbage.
Mhm.
Um, and I hopped out of the car to take pictures, and he was at the door pushing me back in the car and driving off.
Yeah. Yep.
Remember that?
Yep. Yep. I remember that. And they don't stop at stop signs either.
Or stoplights.
No para, no para. I remember him saying, no para, no para. And we're
No,
like, you get arrested in the United States if you don't stop. He's like, no para, no para.
no,
Because if you stop, you can get kidnapped, or
yeah,
the car will get broken
yeah.
into and
You
you'll
could
get
get
robbed.
carjacked or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah. That was pretty
So,
wild.
so back to our story in Indiana. If there was nobody that was there, law-abiding citizen carrying a handgun at that point,
There would have been.
how many hundreds, maybe dozens to hundreds of people would have been shot
That's right.
by this shooter?
Yeah, and sadly, I believe there were 4 deaths.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay,
Mhm.
and my heart and my prayers, our prayers, are with those families. I hope
Yeah.
that you all people that are listening understand. We don't want to see. Listen. I wouldn't even want to see the shooter get killed,
Mm.
because I believe, and this is a conversation that we could have, Mark. I
Mm.
believe that
That's a tough one.
everybody has the human right to know Christ.
Mm.
Everybody has the human right to get saved.
That's a tough one.
Everyone. You know, we were talking about Brian earlier in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Brian spoke with us, I think, about some of these predators that hurt these children on,
Mm-hmm.
like in the trafficking rings and,
Yes.
that,
Yes.
all that. So we don't need to talk about it, but it goes that far. And a lot of people might say, hell no, I would take a bat to their head, right?
Yeah.
Or I'd
Yeah.
like to shoot them.
Right.
This guy that killed the children in Uvalde, people want him dead, right? Charles Manson and his accomplice, Tex, right? Tex Watson.
Mm-hmm.
He was born in Texas, grew up in a Christian home, walked away from the Lord, went to California seeking his own pleasures and his own life, stumbled upon the commune where Charlie Manson trained him to be a killer, brainwashed him.
Yeah.
Okay? That guy was the main killer, murderer in the Sharon Tate murders. They brutally murdered these people. Okay. He went to prison and was sentenced to death row in California. Okay. While he was on death row, they abolished the death sentence in California.
Wow.
He got saved and met the Lord in prison after that. But he wouldn't have had the chance if he would have been taken out.
Right.
So my heart, my belief, and I believe that only God can put something in a person like this, right? Because it's not me thinking emotionally or rationally or naturally, right? Because I'd like to do something to hurt someone or be vengeful.
Yeah. That's like natural. That's our natural tendency.
That's right. But God's heart is, and every person has a human right to know the Savior, to know the Lord, to know the truth that will set them free.
I made a post about that months to years ago, and it was a post about loving your enemy. Loving your enemies, right? God tells us to love your enemy like you love yourself, right?
Yeah.
Love your enemy. Be good to your enemy. Pray for your enemy. Be good to your. When we talk about enemies, let's talk about the worst of the worst. Let's talk about Hitler. Let's talk about Stalin. Let's talk about Saddam Hussein. Let's talk about these people who are known in history for slaughtering people and hurting people and killing people. Can we, number one, as children of God, but outside of being children of God, if you don't know God's love, obviously you can't love, right? So we've already established that. But as children of God, as sons and daughters of God, can we find love for our worst enemy? Can we find love in our heart to want to see them saved and see them set free and see them healed and see them living a life of purpose and significance? Can we see that?
I think only when we know the Father, know his heart for his people. There's only one route. There's no other way that we could have that type of compassion or love. If we don't experience his love, if we don't receive his love, receive his forgiveness, right? How could we forgive others?
So if you don't love your enemy, let's say somebody hurt you as a child or hurt you as an adult, and you have this person ingrained in your mind as the enemy. You hate them, everything about them. Can you find in your heart to love and forgive them?
Yes.
But most people that don't and still live under that cloud of suffering and just hurtful pain, does that mean that they don't know the true love of God?
That's a good question, and that's a very hard answer, but I would say they do not.
I mean, obviously, we don't know people's hearts, right? We can't ever say that for sure.
I'm not judging.
What is a good question? If you
Yeah,
can't find in your heart to love, to forgive somebody, and then to love them with the love of Christ, not phileo love, not not
they
not
do not know
brotherly
God.
love.
I'm going to
We're
state
talking.
that because the Bible, the word says it. If you can't love the person that's in front of you,
Mm,
the person that you see, how can you love me who you can't see?
mm, yeah.
So I do not believe that they have a relationship with the Lord if they can't forgive and love the person sitting right in front of them, or the person that is, you're able to hold that person's hand or touch that person.
Mm,
I believe, and it's not my belief, I'm looking at the word of God saying, here's the word, this is
mm,
what it says. It's truth, right?
mm.
If you believe the word of God, it's 100% truth. You can't like take pieces of the word and not believe it and throw pieces
Right.
out. And
Yeah. Yeah. And do you think it's a journey? Do you think it's a progression of that, of somebody being able to love somebody who hurt them so wrongfully?
so yes, I believe it's a
Is it,
journey, right?
or do you think it could just, it's a decision?
No, I, here, I think that those people that are on the journey want to understand love and forgiveness. But then there's people that just say, no, I could never forgive that person,
Hmm.
but I love
Never's
Jesus.
a very, never's a very harsh word, because
Well, that's the whole
that's
thing.
you're invoking a vow.
Yes,
When you say never, you're
correct.
solidifying, you're cementing stuff. So
Right.
that's dangerous territory right there.
Well,
You-
if you're saying, I love Jesus, I love him, he's my savior, but I'll never forgive that man that hurt
mm,
me when I was 10.
mm,
You don't love Jesus,
mm. Or you don't know Jesus.
or you don't know him. You didn't have that encounter, right?
Mhm, mhm,
It's not just saying a salvation prayer that makes you know Jesus.
mm,
It's literally a real encounter with Christ,
mm.
right? And
Yeah.
we've talked about this. You know when somebody encounters Christ. You know it
I
because
think there's a maturity that one needs to get to with the Lord, where you learn the love of Christ, you learn what it is, you receive it in your own heart, you learn to love and forgive yourself, and then through that you can go ahead and love and forgive others. Because number one, if you don't know Jesus, you don't know his love, you don't accept that he forgave
sure,
you,
sure,
then you can't forgive yourself, because you'll
sure.
always, it all starts with the Father, right? So if we don't know his love,
Oh,
experience his love,
so
and
good.
we don't believe that he first forgave us, we can't forgive ourselves. When
For
we
sure.
used to do encounters, we used to do retreats, men's
Yeah,
retreats, women's retreats,
yeah,
youth retreats. We would go through a session in these retreats about forgiveness,
yeah.
forgiveness of the Father, forgiveness of past hurts, forgive, like inner healing type stuff. And
Sure.
we used to get 50-year-old manly men, burly men that would break down and fall to the ground, crying their eyes out for something that happened to them years prior. But
Sure.
it's because they accepted Jesus, they experienced Jesus,
Agree.
they forgive themselves, and then they were able to forgive others.
Yes.
And once they forgave that person, that root cause of all their bitterness and anger, that once they forgave
Yes.
that person, they were transformed in an
Yeah, it
instant.
was
They
like
were
a
different
flood.
people.
It's
They
a
were
flood. Yes.
night and day different. You saw
Yes.
a mean man coming in. You
Yep.
saw a happy, young,
Joy filled.
joy-filled, full of life individual leaving
For
these
sure.
retreats.
Yes.
But where did it start from? It all started at the cross. It all started with
I
you believing and receiving and accepting, and then you're able to kind of pour that back out. Because I don't think we could truly forgive somebody else in our life unless we truly have, number one, forgiven ourselves,
yep.
and we've accepted that love ourselves. I don't know. This is just my thoughts.
So I'm gonna bring up something. We're gonna talk about this. I know, we decided that we would throw this in as a topic, right?
Mhm.
Um, my daughter and I were just watching an episode of The Chosen.
So good.
And for those of you who don't know, or who have never seen the show or never heard of the show, The Chosen is the most successful crowd-funded show in the history of television with no ties to Hollywood. Okay?
It's on Netflix, right?
What?
Is it on? Where is it? It's on its own network. It's not
I'm
on
going to
Netflix.
tell you, yeah. So The Chosen.
It is on Netflix.
Yeah, you do need to watch that. Absolutely, my man. The Chosen is the largest crowd-funded media project of all time. Dallas Jenkins created a short for his church for Christmas time called The Shepherd. Okay? He took that short, and I'm making a long story short, no pun intended. He took that short and he made it the pilot for this show, The Chosen. And they were going to raise the funds through crowdfunding, somewhat similar to Kickstarter, but you're actually getting an equity share.
I heard about that.
Okay, raising money through this crowdfunding platform, which is run by Angel Studios. This is a this is an incredible story. 5,000 people.
It's by Angel Studios, you said?
Angel Studios. 5,000 people that watched that pilot called The Shepherd raised $11 million to start shooting the first season of The Chosen. What is The Chosen about? It's not just your cookie cutter story about Jesus. It is about Jesus finding the chosen, finding the disciples, picking the people that he wanted to follow him, to be the beginning of what is now Christianity.
Right.
And it was one heck of a ragtag bunch of, let's see, we had a prostitute, right, named Mary. We had a fisherman named Simon, who was a roughneck, and he used to fight, and he was a deceiver, right? You had Matthew, who was a tax collector, hated by his own people because he worked for the Romans, right? And he was the tax collector to the Jewish people.
Right.
So he was like deathly hated, right? So many different characters, bro, and so many different, like when we look at us, when I look at me, when I look at you, when we look at the people that we know that have received the Lord and their past and those things, and we say, gosh, man, Jesus really, really chose some like messed up people. And this show is so human. It's so good. It follows the Gospels with a little tweak of creativity, right?
Yeah.
They take some creative rights.
And it's not cheesy either.
No, it's not cheesy. It is one of the best made shows I have ever seen.
Yeah, it's like watching HBO.
It's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 9.6 on the IMDb rating score.
Bro, Christian movies do not get those types of ratings, man. It's one of the best and well-produced shows out there. It's a series, by the way. It's not just a movie.
Yeah.
How many episodes are there?
It's 2 seasons in. They're filming season 3. They're halfway through funding season 4.
Bro, I'd like to be on one of those. We should go do a casting call. Let's go do a casting call.
Actually, we have somebody that we know that was in the feeding of the 5,000, which is going to be in season 3.
Nice.
I won't tell you. You'll see it. She's an extra.
That's awesome.
In the feeding of the 5,000. But this is really neat. We were talking about knowing Jesus and forgiving other people and forgiving yourself. And this episode that I was watching with my daughter tonight was an episode where Mary walks away after she gets healed and given. She falls on her face. This is a very, very controversial episode that had a lot of people like buzzing because when it came out, people were like, "Oh, how could you say that Mary walked away?" And oh, how could you show something like that? And
Mm.
well, listen, do we ever think about what these disciples went through? Because we're not Christ.
Right.
We're not. We're not the sinless one. We're not the blameless one. We're not the one that was white as snow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you fall?
Of course. We all do.
All do. And so in this episode, Mary backslides
Mm.
and she is enveloped by the love of Christ.
Mm.
I'm not going to give too much away because it's a really good episode. But man, when you see the portrayal of Jesus in this episode, when you see the compassion, when you see his eyes looking at her, when you see him embrace her and give her a hug and say, I forgive you.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. The
Got the chills.
episodes, the seasons, the acting, the sets, the writing, everything is top notch.
Mm.
It's amazing.
That's awesome.
And I know you said that you watched a little bit of it, right?
Yeah, we watched a little bit of it. I plan on watching the whole thing. We're gonna do like a binge session of it with
Binge
my boys.
Jesus.
Yeah, we're gonna binge Jesus with my boys, me and my 10-year-olds.
That's actually
I'm
one of their
always
pieces.
looking to give them different perspectives and different ways of thinking about things. So I think this would be good for them as well.
It's one of their pieces of swag.
Binge Jesus?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd get that. I'd wear that too.
This is one of their pieces right here. Come and see.
Nice.
Come and See is a really cool episode, actually, where Nathaniel gets introduced to the to everything, and
awesome.
you have another disciple saying to Nathaniel, "You have to come and see." Really, really cool. Very cool.
That's awesome.
The show does not operate like a normal TV show with scheduled release dates. This is really neat. You know how you have to, like with Game of Thrones or some other show, you'd have to wait like a whole year to see the show?
They don't follow that. They'll come out whenever they want.
Whenever they finish with an episode, it's done, it's wrapped, and it's all finished. They release it.
I wonder why the other series do that. Why they wait like a whole year to maybe build anticipation or something. Maybe that's just a marketing tactic. I don't know. Maybe money. You think they build more money doing that?
Oh, it's Hollywood, bro. I catch parts of it scrolling Facebook. Carla, you would love this show. What you want to do is this is the way to see the show, by the way. If you have Apple TV or Roku, you could put the Angel Studios app on your Apple TV, Roku, whatever you're using, or you're going to want to download this app.
Oh yeah, they have their own app. You can do that on your iPhone or iPad as well.
Yep. And what happens is when you watch one of the episodes, you just stream it right to your TV. And I don't know if you could read that number. Can you read that number? Is there a glare?
Yeah, there's a little bit of glare. But you can also go to watch.angelstudios.com and watch it right from your browser, your computer browser too.
So that's all new.
Yeah.
This is all new. They just added this. This is really, really neat. They're doing something where it's a pay it forward system now.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
So when you click on to watch an episode, it pops up and says only the first season is streaming on PureFlix, by the way.
Oh, gotcha.
The first season is streaming on PureFlix. The first season is streaming on Prime, I think, on YouTube as well. But you have to catch season 2 and the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons, all on the app or on the platforms that Angel Studios provides you.
Gotcha. Is it a pay to watch or is it free?
No, everything is free. They have released it for free. The promise is that everything will be for free.
That's insane. How do you know what the cost of producing that whole thing is? How many millions and millions of dollars have they spent?
Yeah.
And they're giving it away for free.
It's a lot of money, bro. And 408,007,051 people have downloaded the app and viewed the show. 408 million people.
To tell the whole story of the Gospels, we need to do 7 seasons. To reach 1 billion people, it needs to be free.
Yep.
To be done right, we must be outside the system.
Yes.
So we need your help, and that's where the whole pay it forward thing is.
That's
you
right.
can go and basically donate what you want to their cause, and they don't require you to pay to watch the movies. It's all free. Right. And then you go ahead and you can give as much as you want. That's incredible. I think that's how it should be. That's how every movie and every production should be.
So I will tell you, this is really neat. What you can do with the app and with what you're looking at on the angelstudios.com, The Chosen, is there are tabs that you can watch, not just the first 2 seasons, but you can watch the extras. You can also watch these deep dives where they talk with the people that are helping them write the show. This is really neat. They've got an evangelical Christian. They've got a Catholic priest.
Yes,
and a
I heard about
rabbi.
that. Yep.
And
so they're getting all perspectives.
Yep. Because they want to get it right. Yeah. And they talk about all the different things that need to, Jonathan Rumi, who plays Jesus, is a Catholic. Okay. It's interesting because, when all these things, when people hear these things, all these denominational walls that are up, people get freaked out a little bit,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, The Chosen has really, really given us this opportunity to watch denominational walls fall, to really, really, really hear the gospel, and it's igniting people's passion to look a little deeper. It's a really, really great show. They just did something with the Gen Z crew. This is really neat. On Sunday night, they did a live stream, and they debuted their documentary where they took, listen to this, bro, 9 Gen Zs. None of them knew each other. And they sort of did it like a focus group where they didn't tell them what they were going to be doing. They just knew they were going to be watching a show. They were going to put them in a room all together. They flew them out to Utah. They took these 9 people, threw them in a room, didn't tell them they were binging Jesus, and they had them watch the entire show and get their reaction.
Wow.
And this wasn't like 9 Bible-thumping, Holy Spirit-filled Christian people.
Yeah, right.
This was like
regular millennials.
Yes. People that are going through life. Maybe they're not even into the Lord. Maybe they have no relationship with God. One guy was like, I'm an atheist.
Wow.
That's it. Another guy was like, one of the guys was like, I was raised in a cult. Yeah. Another guy was like, I'm bipolar. I'm on medication.
That's wild.
It was incredible, bro. Incredible. And you got to watch this documentary. And also, if you catch the live, the replay of the live, they showed a scene from episode 1, season 3. Really cool.
That's crazy, man. I can't wait to check it out and watch it.
June said, who's your favorite character? Mine's Little James. I do like Little James, June, but I got to be honest with you. I love Matthew.
Guys, you're both wrong. You're both wrong.
What?
Jesus is the favorite character.
Jesus is my favorite. But Matthew is this quirky little dude, and I would almost say that he's like OCD, autistic.
Yeah.
Like he's the tax collector.
Right.
And his character, oh my gosh.
Don't ruin it, man. We got to watch it. So everybody's homework tonight after the show is go and binge Jesus, baby. Binge Jesus. Get used to different.
That's right.
That's what we're going to do. I'm super excited to check it out. That was good, man. But I feel
there's a tip. Wait, one more tip. I'm sorry.
What's the tip?
If you're going to binge the show, start with the shepherd.
What does that even mean?
The shepherd is the pilot. It's in the extras.
Oh, the pilot is before
season 1, before season 2, before season 1, you have to watch the shepherd, which is the pilot show.
Gotcha.
That's
Good.
all.
Good to know. Awesome, man. Well, cool. I think this was a good conversation. Talked about some heavy things, and we ended with some good, refreshing, good old chosen,
That's it.
which we're going to check out, man. So why don't you go ahead and pray for our
All right.
listeners, pray for our watchers, bless them, and we'll see them in the next episode.
So, Father, we thank you for your love. You are a loving God. We thank you for your faithfulness. We thank you for your grace and your mercy. We thank you that you are a sovereign God. And there's nothing that we could do that makes you gooder. Is that even a word?
Better.
Better. Gooder?
Father,
Father, you are great and mighty. And your love for us, it never ends. It's unfailing. And I ask, God, that you would reach out and touch our viewers, our listeners, our subscribers, people watching us for the first time, people listening to us for the first time, people that are coming back for more. God, I thank you that you would rest with them, surround them with your peace, encourage them. And Father, I thank you that you would just grow their faith, grow their desire to know you. And we thank you so much for the rest of this week. And we thank you for our families and friends. And we thank you for those that you're going to put us in contact with and in front of. Let us bless people and love people and reach out and hug people. Be kind and understanding and compassionate and good. In your Son's name, in Jesus' name, amen.
Awesome. Love you guys.
Love y'all.
We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Ciao.
This is Mark here. Thanks so much for joining us on this last podcast. We really, truly appreciate your support. We definitely could not do this without you. If you can take just a brief second and click that share button, share this podcast to your social media, get this message out to more people so that there's a greater impact on our community. And for those of you who want to give a little extra support, leave a review on Spotify, Apple Music, or Google Podcast. Thanks so much. God bless, and we'll see you in the next episode.